The programming on Metro TV does not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Metro Council, the mayor, or Metro government staff.
Welcome to another installment of Leadership Landscape TV, where we go inside the minds of local community leaders and allow them a chance to offer some keen insights into how they see themselves and, most importantly, explore just what makes them tick. I'm Kirt Jacobs, host of Leadership Landscape TV, where previous interviews have showcased leaders from the world of politics, religion, business, sports, law, community activism, and civic engagement. Today, our 174th guest is Coach Jeff Walz. He's the head coach of the University of Louisville women's basketball. And also a special treat, we're coming from the University of Louisville campus's Swain Student Activity Center. Now, for those of you who don't know our guest, allow me to read some of Jeff's bio. Lightning speed. That's the only rate at which Jeff Walz operates, and the pace at which U of L's women's basketball burst to national prominence under his tutelage is one of the most competitive and successful programs. In 8 seasons, the women's basketball program boasts 6 trips to the NCAA Sweet 16, 2 NCAA runner-up finishes, 2 All-Americans, 18 All-Conference selections, and 5 WNBA draft picks. Under Walz, U of L has averaged 26 victories per season and a record 34 victories in 2008 and 2009 and 33 wins in the 2013-14 season, something not seen in its previous 32 years. Hired as the Cardinals head coach on March 27, 2007, the Bluegrass State native wasted little time. His first year saw U of L in the Sweet 16, culminating with a number 12 ranking in the ESPN USA Today Coaches Poll. And Walz was named the WBCA Maggie Dixon Rookie Coach of the Year. Prior to Louisville, Walz spent 5 seasons at Maryland, including his final season as the associate head coach in 2006-07, and had helped lead the Terrapins to a school record 34 wins and the program's first national title, with previous coaching stops at Minnesota, Nebraska, and Western Kentucky. In 1995, Walz received a basketball scholarship to Northern Kentucky, where he graduated with a BS in secondary education and earned his master's degree in education in 1997. Walz has 4 children, daughter Kaylee, son Jacob, and daughters Lola and Lucy, who you see around the campus and other things with regards to his coaching. He is married to the former Lauren Luters, and they reside in Louisville. Coach Walz, it is a true pleasure and honor to have you, and welcome to Leadership Landscape TV.
Thank you very much for having me.
What drives you to excel at what you've done in women's collegiate sports? I think it's pretty fascinating that you've remained a coach in women's sports throughout your career so far.
Well, I think a lot of it's just the passion for excellence. You know, it's the one thing that's fun about what I do and a challenge at the same time. I'm very much a task-oriented person.
Okay.
You know, I can go back to my youth. Growing up, we used to cut grass. Our family had a lawn service business.
That's great.
You know, you could go out and you knew exactly what you had to do. You go there, the yard need to be taken care of, and when you left, you had a finished product. As a coach, it's more of a challenge.
Right.
Because you can sit there and practice for a whole week and go out there and play, and you're sitting there going, what have we just done? You know, it's nothing what we talked about. So
right.
the striving for excellence is what I love, and that's why I do what I do.
Whom do you credit most influential in your life, Jeff?
Well, my parents.
Okay.
You know, there's no question about that. You know, I was very fortunate to have a very loving home. I've got 2 older brothers, a younger sister. We were pushed to know right from wrong. You know, and I think that's one of the things I look at today's generation, and it's scary at times. Because you're sitting there going, you know, do you know right from wrong? It was okay to make a mistake, but you had to be willing to sit there and go, okay, that was a bad decision I just made. But we knew we had that support at home. Parents were very driven, very task-oriented also,
okay,
and pushed us to be the best.
Now, did anyone in the family have a coaching background?
Well, my dad actually, he played football in college. He coached football in high school. So we've had a lot of
So you saw the backstory, if
yes.
you will. Okay, I got you.
Sure did.
What was the most defining moment of your life, Coach Walz? And it could be more than one, personal or professional.
You know, I think it's as I started to get a little bit older through college, when I got to the point where I was just like, you know, I'm happy with who I am. You know, I'm a stutterer. I stutter. You know, it's something
I don't notice it.
Where 15 years ago, 18 years ago, if you had said, hey, you're going to have the opportunity to be a head coach, I'd have said, there's no way. I'm not going to do it.
Sure.
Put me in front of a camera. No, thank you. But I've realized it's who I am. I can't change it. So just accept it, embrace it, and then share it with others. You know, because I've really, it's been a good situation for me. Even though I do stutter, I've been able to go talk to people who have the same speech impediment that I do, and tell them it's okay. Like, just be happy with who you are.
What is the biggest professional triumph of your life, Coach Walz? And it could be more than one, personal, professional.
I'd say the day I accepted the job here.
Sure.
Accepted the job to be a head coach. You know, if you go back to that day when Tom offered me the job, I accepted it. You know, it was a great feeling, because that's what you grow up, you know, you get in this profession.
Sure.
You know, a lot of us have dreams of being a head coach, and that's what it was. And then to have the opportunity to come back close to home, growing up in northern Kentucky, I was going to have the chance to have family.
That's great.
Come to games. And this is a profession where you have to go where the job is. And then after I accepted, I'd say going from the press conference, where it wasn't the prettiest thing. You know, if you go back and ever take a look at that, you know, I stuttered terribly. I was nervous as can be. And now to know where I am now, that's probably the biggest accomplishment for me, and the proudest moment is getting to where I am now from where I was.
Yeah. What is the best piece of advice ever given to you, Coach? It could be
I think
more
the best
than one.
piece of advice is to be happy with who you are.
Okay.
You have to be confident with who you are. And I think that's one of the most important things that has ever been told to me. And then one that I stress to my players even is sometimes you have to fake it to make it. You know, you've got to be confident enough, even if you're not sure what's going on, you want to portray the confidence that you believe in what you're doing. And as I tell our players, fake it to make it until you know what to do. And I think that's really important.
Now, this next question I call the mouthful question, and some of our guests circled it back to the leadership question, so the honesty and passion and focus, I think it was. Could you describe in particular detail an incident, it can be more than one, personal, professional, where you utilize your own philosophies on leadership? Maybe with a team player or another coach, it could be anything.
You know, I think I can go back to college. You know, I had the opportunity to play a few years at Northern Kentucky as a scholarship athlete. And after my second year of playing and into about the first month of practice, my junior year, I finally realized, you know, I wasn't good enough. You know, so I actually went into the coach who was my high school coach for a few years, Ken Shields, and told him, hey, I'm wasting your scholarship right now.
Really?
You know, and it was the truth. I mean, I was playing at a level that was probably too high for me. You know, I was probably more of an NAIA player. The good Lord did not bless me with quick feet. I could shoot the basketball, but I couldn't move real fast. So I think right then the honesty fact came in. Instead of kidding myself and thinking, hey, I'm good enough, I should be out here playing on this team, you know, I realized, you know, I wasn't. So I went in and I just said, hey, you need to go find somebody that can. And that's when I actually got into coaching.
Really? So do you believe coaches are better if they played the game, or does it matter? Is it the individual?
I don't think it really matters. I think it's more so your passion for the game, your knowledge for the game. You know, I played in high school. I didn't play that much in college. But instead of getting frustrated or upset sitting on the bench, I really studied the game. I watched it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the game planning of it. I enjoyed the X's and O's, the strategy of it. Yeah, so instead of being upset sitting at the end of the bench that I'm not playing, I embraced it. And I used to be able to sit there and tell some of the players that were playing, hey, here's what the other team is trying to do. You know, if we do this, it might work. And I really enjoyed that part of it.
Now, this next question I want to ask is, in case someone's watching the show that's not a sports buff or knows your background, just for clarity, you've coached your entire professional career female athletes.
Yes.
Correct?
Sure have.
Why is that? Was that by design? And what's the difference between male and female athletes?
Okay.
Interpret it any way you want.
Once I, as I say, retired
Sure.
from playing
Right.
college
Right.
basketball, I needed a job.
Mm-hmm.
So where I went to high school at Highlands High School, they had a 7th grade girls job that was open. So I said, I'll do it. I'm in.
I love it.
So that's what my first 2 coaching years were with 7th grade girls. And then my sister was a sophomore in high school at the time. And she'd always played summer basketball in Ohio because there wasn't an organization in Kentucky for her to play with. So I'd asked her if I'd formed a summer travel team, an AAU basketball team at the time, would she play? And she agreed. So I went out, and we had some very talented players in the state of Kentucky at that time. Kyra Elzy, Yukari Figs played at Purdue when they won a national championship.
Okay.
Marita Porter, Shea Lunsford, all kids that went on to play high-level Division I basketball.
Right.
And then I added my sister to that mix. So for 2 summers, I had a great time coaching that group of young women. And then my sister was actually National Player of the Year out of high school in 1996. So a lot of people offered me graduate assistant jobs.
Sure.
With the hope of possibly having her come to their school. And I grew up, I finished my undergraduate degree in secondary education.
Right.
So I had planned on
Mentioned
teaching
it in
and
the bio.
coaching. In the state of Kentucky at that time, and I'm not sure if it's still the same, you had 5 years to start your master's, 5 to finish, or your certificate was void. So I decided to go to Western Kentucky, had planned on getting my master's degree, and then go back into coaching and teaching in high school. But it just kind of worked out. Coached there for 2 years. The head coach, Paul Sandiford at the time, took the job at Nebraska as the head women's coach out there. Asked me to go. I said, sure, I'm in. And that's kind of how my job, it's been that way since then. I've had the opportunity to switch over to men a few times. But the women's game, the one thing I love about it is when we go out and recruit players, we're getting the opportunity to coach them for 4 years.
Absolutely.
The men, you get some of these, one and dones.
Yeah,
they're in your
TV
program
show,
for 2 years. You don't get the chance to watch them mature, watch them grow. In women's basketball, they're coming in as a 17, 18-year-old and leaving as a 22 or 23-year-old.
Right.
And the transformation that takes place in those 4 or 5 years is amazing. And it's really fun to see them come in as kids,
right.
And they're leaving as women.
Right.
And it's a satisfaction that you really can't put a dollar amount on.
Now, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit as a coach and as a guy, since we're guys. What do women athletes do better, and maybe what do they do worse than male athletes in your travels?
Okay.
However you want to interpret that one, because I think the audience would like to know that one.
It's a fair question.
Okay.
I tell our players all the time. They'll ask me, what's the difference? You played. And what I try to explain to them is this. In men's athletics, men in general, we can dislike each other and really have a dislike for each other. But when we step onto the floor or the field, we're trying to win. So it doesn't matter. Like, we're going to go out there, we're going to play together, we're going to figure out a way to try to win. Now, after that game, if we're on the way back to the dorm and you're in your car and it's pouring down rain and there's a flat tire, you're trying to get out and change it, I'm not helping you. I'm going to honk and go by, and you know it.
Right.
And it's not a problem. Women, we have to have a good feeling about each other. Our team chemistry is so important.
Okay.
And that's not just on the floor, but that's off the floor.
Okay.
Because there's more feelings involved. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
And as
No,
a
there's
coach,
not.
I'm
It's
aware
different.
of that. And they ask me what the difference is, and to me, that's what it is. I've seen it in years that I've coached in teams where, some of them, they might not have a like for each other, and they won't pass the ball to each other.
Oh, wow.
And they'll be like, I didn't see them. I'm like, they're doing jumping jacks, wide open. And what do you mean you didn't see
They're
her?
where you're going.
So then you just find out what the problem is.
Right.
And sometimes it's the smallest of things. So we really have embraced it here, that we try to confront everything head on at the beginning instead of letting things fester.
Okay.
And I think that's why we've been able to have so much success here, because our kids genuinely care about each other. Are they best friends? No, you can't have 12, 13 best friends.
Right.
But you have to respect each other. And that's one thing that our women do here. They truly respect each other as people.
So have you found a change since you started coaching in the players? Have they become different, better, worse? What's kind of your take on that aspect of it?
It's different.
Okay.
You know, anymore, you know, it used to be you just, you know, when I was growing up, when you were growing up, a coach told you to do something, you did it. You didn't ask why.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they said to throw the ball to the other team, you just threw the ball to the other team.
Right.
Now they all want to know why.
Mm-hmm.
They all want to know, and it's not a bad thing. But at the same time, I try to tell them there are times that you have to have faith. You have to trust that as a coach, we know what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Do what we're asking you to do. Then after you do it, come and ask why. You know, and that's something that I think we've really worked on here with our players throughout the years, is because they have to know that we have their best interest in mind.
Sure.
And once they believe that, then you start to get that trust. And then, you know, parenting is different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think now it's more so everybody wants to be everybody's friend.
Good point.
And that's a challenge with parenting.
And then there's those two words, social media, which is...
Social media is a killer.
Yeah.
So the send button is not anybody's friend.
Hey, you can't send it back.
The
or
emotions
retract it,
get
right?
going and they just press send. You know, the camera.
Yeah.
The cell phone camera.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I laugh with the kids all the time. They ask me what kind of cell phone I had in college. I tell them a dime. And then it went to a quarter when times got tough, you know.
And it stood alone, far away.
And they
remember
can't, you know, it's fun to talk to them on road trips when
Sure.
you got the whole team, because they just can't figure out, how did we do anything?
Yeah, right.
You know, I'm
You
like,
didn't have email?
yeah, and you couldn't text somebody. I said, no, you called them, and then you actually did what you said you were going to do. If you're going to show up at 5, you showed up at 5.
Right, and if they left you a voicemail, you called them back.
Yes. You know, so it's been fun to share those
Sure.
stories, and, you know, there is a lot more pressure on kids today.
Absolutely.
You know,
The pace, too, is
anything
fast.
that you do, it's instantly recorded.
And it's there forever.
You know, we all, you know, I tell them I'm not a hypocrite. I truly mean that. Like, I did dumb things in college, too. I did dumb things
Yeah.
growing up. You look back
Yeah.
on, you shake your
Thank
head.
God
but,
we didn't have social
you
media.
know, the
Yeah.
worst thing that would happen is somebody could take a picture of you, and then they'd have to wait to get the other 23 take it.
Right.
And then go to Walgreens and wait about 5 or 6 days to get them developed.
Right.
And then the worst they could do is get doubles.
Yeah.
So, you know, by then, nobody cared.
Exactly. Yeah, it was old news.
Yeah,
And
sure
you may
was.
never see it. So we're going to do a little picture association in my research of you to prepare for our interview. I've noticed there's 3 sides to Coach Walz. There's the fun side, there's the intense side, driven side, and then the family man. So I thought it was very interesting. So I'm just going to hold them up and you talk about what they are. This is obviously you giving the infamous Louisville sign.
Louisville sign, that's at
That's the fun
a football
part.
game, having fun, smiling at the camera.
I got
Yeah.
you. I got you.
No question.
And one could argue this is intense and fun. This is here you are congratulating the players, I think, coming in. Maybe it's halftime, I'm not sure. But
That's probably at a timeout. The
Okay.
opposing team probably had to call a timeout because we were doing some good things.
I got you.
Yeah, that's having fun and some passion.
And I love this. I think it speaks volumes about your relationship with Coach Patino. Looks like you guys are having fun.
Yeah.
I bet you
Coach
guys
has
have a
been
lot
great
of.
to me.
Yeah,
Coach
this one's good, too.
Patino's been great to me and my family.
Yeah.
Our program.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
there's no question.
Now we move on to Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Here's the intense coach beginning.
That's a little clapping. That's a
Yeah,
little,
yeah,
hey,
yeah.
we're having fun. The players are doing well.
But this ain't
Yeah.
clapping.
No, that's not clapping.
Yeah.
You know, I'm loud, and that comes from my father.
I got you.
He's got a loud voice. I tell him
Loud
all
and
the time,
proud.
I'm not yelling at you. I'm just trying to make sure you can hear me.
Oh, okay. I'll have to remember that when I talk to my wife that way. But this is you asking the referee out to dinner, I think. Not.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've got a few friends that wear stripes.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got
sure
you.
do.
And here you are having an intense conversation with one of the players.
I just want to make sure they're getting my message.
They're listening.
Yes, exactly.
And now I think you're something here with the refs, maybe.
Yeah, we're sitting there I'm trying to get somebody's attention. There's no question there. Probably telling them what to get into defensively.
Now this is one of my favorite picks of the bunch right here. You're about to come off the side and run out on the court.
That
Something you're not happy about.
That right there was our
It's amazing
Baylor
you remember
game.
these.
Oh,
It's amazing.
That was our Baylor game. At that instance, I believe Bria Smith had just fouled out.
Yeah, that's
And they
not
just
good.
called a technical foul because I sat up on the scores table.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what
I
that
love
was.
it. I don't even have to caption these, and so this might be the same game. I'm not sure.
Yep, you
Rick,
know
you're
what?
talking to
That I believe is the same ball game right there because I can tell by the seats behind it.
Now this one I like. There's a million captions you can come up with here.
You know that's at the Final Four. I can tell by the floor in St. Louis, trying to make sure everybody understands what's going on.
And there's more intense talk with players.
Teaching the game.
There you go.
Yep, same thing.
And then this is the sensitive again a little bit.
Yeah, you know, that's Monique Reed right
Yeah.
there. She played for us for 4 years. She had an injury. That was after our last game last year with Bria Smith.
Yeah.
You know, we work them hard. I mean,
Sure.
it's a long year. They put in a lot of time and commitment, you know, but I know the kids do know that when it comes down to it, I care about them. I care about the type of people they're turning into. And as long as they know you care about them, you can push them pretty hard.
Absolutely. Now this is the night of your 200th win celebration. Now who's this lovely lady with you?
That's Christine Herron. That's my senior women's administrator. That's
All
my
right.
boss.
Awesome. And here's another one with you and the team.
Yeah.
Giving you a little TLC in the background.
I tell people all the time, I'm very fortunate, you know, to have won to 200 plus games here, but
amazing.
I've never made a shot.
That's
You
pretty
know,
cool.
it's
That's
the
a good
players.
point.
The players are the ones that make it possible.
I love this. Who's this little munchkin on the floor?
That
during
is
a press
Lola.
conference?
That is Lola right there when
Yeah.
she was a little over 1.
Yeah.
It's amazing how fast she's
Yeah,
grown
this is
up.
her
But
again, I
yep,
believe.
it sure is.
Now this is you again. Looks like they found you, that you didn't find them. A press conference where you got the little one with
That's
you.
Lola right there
Yep.
again, right before we go into our kickoff luncheon.
Gotcha. And last picture.
That's a year later.
And,
Our
yeah, it's
kickoff
just a lot
luncheon.
bigger.
Yep,
Yep.
same thing.
That's cool that I take my kid everywhere. So that's cool. You
It's
do
a lot
that.
of fun.
It is.
It sure
fun.
is.
Do you think there's a difference in our coaches today than in past generations?
Well, I think it's not necessarily a difference in the coaches.
Mm-hmm.
The coaches are having to adjust to the players
Mm-hmm.
and adjust to how kids are being raised, what the expectations are,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how you're able to communicate with them. So I think coaches are changing
Okay.
as players are evolving, as kids are evolving.
Now, a lighter question. If athletic director Tom Jurich calls you up and says, you know, you've done so great, 2 weeks, 14 days, 10 business days, calendar days, get lost, where do you go? Who do you take with you? What do you do?
Where do I go?
No technology.
Which would be great.
Yeah,
which
is almost impossible. It's almost
you
an
know,
unrealistic question.
It'd
but-
be with my family for
Okay.
sure. There's no question about it. My wife, my 4 kids, you know, we'd all go someplace. It could be the beach, it could be the mountains.
Just be
depending
together.
on what the year, just to be together. It'd be great to not have cell phone,
Yeah.
no technology, because you know that's
Yeah.
the one thing about our job.
Now, this next question is probably one of the most introspective of the bunch of questions. If you could have dinner with just one person, Coach Walz, living or dead, who would it be and why?
Wow.
Yeah,
Now that's
you
a
can have more
deep
than one,
question
but most
right
people
there. That's a deep question
with
right
one.
there, and I really there's so many.
Well,
You've got athletes, you've got leaders. JFK is one.
Interesting.
You
Okay.
know, I've read some of his books, and
Mm-hmm.
some of the books have been written about him.
Uh-huh.
The way he was able to just lead, the way he was able to get so many people to follow.
it's a good choice.
You know,
Interesting.
and unfortunately his life obviously was cut short.
Sure.
But I'd love to be able to sit down and have a one-on-one and ask him questions.
That would be interesting. I'd like to be a fly on the wall on that one.
It'd be great.
Be
It
a
sure
cool
would.
one. Now, I like this question. If you could have written a question to the younger Jeff Walz, what would you have told yourself?
What would I have told myself? I think, being someone that went to speech class
Mm-hmm.
for 8 years, from first grade all the way to 8th grade, You know, I think I would have sat there and told myself at that early age to be comfortable with who you are. You know, the good Lord is the one that gave me my stuttering. You know, and that's
a great point.
So, don't fight it. You know, continue to work to improve it, which I have. But, you know, there's sometimes when it's bad. You know, I'll have a bad week here, a bad week there, and it's just who I am. And embrace it. When I go on the phone with recruits, I tell them up front I stutter. You know, I tell my players, hey, I'm not like a professor. When I repeat something, don't write it down. It doesn't mean. It doesn't mean. No, you should. There's nothing wrong with it. When I repeat it, it might not mean that I'm trying to emphasize it. It just won't come out. You know. So I think that's the one thing I would have told myself: be confident with who you are. Be proud of what you are.
I'm going to flip that just to tweak it a little bit. If there's someone watching this show that has the speech impediment, what would you say to them? What advice?
It's the advice I'd give them. It's okay. You know. I'm a true believer the good Lord doesn't give you more than you can handle. And there's a reason that I've been put in the position that I am. I enjoy going around and meeting with elementary school kids. You know, I try to get out. If a parent calls me and says, hey, my son stutters, my daughter stutters, would you sit down and talk to him? I love doing it. You know, because I want them to know you can do what you want. You know, you can strive and be as good as you want. Don't let that stop you. So awesome. I think as a parent, as someone that has a speech impediment, it might not be stuttering. You might have a lisp. Who knows what it might be?
Sure.
But, you know, there's always going to be people that are going to make fun of you. You know, it's part of life. You know, you just can't worry about those. You've got to surround yourself with the ones that are going to support you and then be confident in who you are.
And that's the last question we ask every one of our guests, younger or older, any walk of life. God forbid, Coach Walz, it all ends today. How do you want to be remembered? You
know, I would hope that people would remember me as a passionate person, someone who gives. You know, I love to see other people smile. Now, if you come watch me coach, you might be like, hey, yeah, that's not true. You know, but I'm passionate.
Even in a serious question.
I'm just trying to be honest. You know, I love to win basketball games, so sometimes I get emotional with it.
Yeah, those pictures, yeah.
But, you know, I do. I like to give. You know, and I hope people would say that, you know, he gave a lot. He gave back. He always gave his time. I'll go speak to anybody, anywhere, you know, and I don't charge anything. Just, you know, call me, I'll come do it. Now, you might not like it, but, you know, I'm just honest, and I hope that's what people would say about me.
Well, I think you got a lot more chapters and a lot more years of giving left in you. So. Coach Walz, quite an honor and pleasure to have you on Leadership Landscape. Thanks for joining our gallery guests. If you have any suitable guest suggestions or any feedback, feel free to email me at Kirt@leadershiplandscapetv.com. You can catch us on Facebook or social media. Just type in Leadership Landscape. Till next time, I'm Kirt Jacobs. Thanks for watching.
Metro TV, a public service of Louisville Metro government.